Your San Francisco 49ers are possibly facing their toughest defense of the season this week. And it looks like, once again, it's going to be the Mac Jones show. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the original Gold Standard podcast, part of the Pro Football Insiders. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Levin Black. Levin, it's Wednesday. Kyle Shanahan has spoken. The 49ers have had practice. And once again, Brock Purdy did slightly more than I did at practice today.
I'm surprised he did even that. The reports are he had a setback on Sunday. Why is he practicing? It didn't. Right. It didn't heal in 3 days. So stop putting him out there.
We're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into the Houston Texans, whose defense is really freaking good. We'll get into also some of the new injuries that popped up on the report as well. And, of course, Levin's hot takes coming up later in the show. Let's start with the Brock Purdy situation, though, because as you mentioned, it appears that there was a setback on Sunday. Now, you may not remember this because it feels like forever ago, but when we woke up on Sunday morning, the splash reports were Brock Purdy's coming back. Ricky Pearsall's coming back. It's going to be, we're getting the boys back together for the game against the Texans. And then during Sunday Night Football, they had a whole graphic prepared. Thanks for throwing up a comment about the Mariners. They had a whole, you can't hurt me, Iceman. You can't hurt me more than this team has already hurt me. So you could put all your mean comments. I don't care. They had a whole graphic on Sunday Night Football about how frustrated they were, about how it's not healing, how the slightest movement could set him back. And they said there was no timeline for his return, which of course was the complete opposite of Sunday. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking like, what happened? Well, we got a little information on what happened, and it came from Diana Rossini on the Scoop City podcast on Monday.
As of late last night, from a couple of conversations I was having, it's still really up in the air. He went through a workout yesterday on the field, and I was told that he didn't really feel that great. So we'll see how this progresses over the next few days. And he shared too how frustrated he is. He doesn't want to sit and watch this happen, especially after just getting paid. And it sounds like it's one of those nagging pains too, where it's just like you're trying, you feel like you can go a little bit more. And then when you push it, that's when the pain comes back. We'll see how they figure that out. And the same with Ricky Pearsall. Again, had it circled for week 8. It's just not definite as of right now on Monday.
That is very concerning, Levin. And I would not be shocked if we don't see Brock Purdy, the rest of the season.
I'm going to pat myself on the back, I guess.
Surprise.
But the only good thing going on with this is, I wondered last week with the length that this is taking and the fact that he has talked about how frustrating it was before this, that he had that setback after he tried to play that game, that I wondered if this was yet another case of the 49ers diagnosing something less major than it really is, and the player actually needs surgery, because that's already happened 2 or 3 times in this regime's tenure where a player needed surgery. They told them they didn't need surgery, and then weeks later, weeks of wasted time, it's, oh, never mind, it didn't heal. Guess you need surgery. It certainly seems like we're headed that direction.
And you said it before, and I didn't think of it, but you're right. They thought he was going to come back. He had the workout Sunday, and he didn't feel great. That would be a setback. Whether they call it one or not, clearly that sounds like a setback. If that is the case, then why was he out there today at all? And how is it ever going to heal if you keep trying to practice on it? Like, if you want to let it heal, let it heal. Get one of those little scooters that Fred Warner had. Get off of it. Keep it elevated or lower or wherever you got to keep it. But, what are we doing here? It just seems like this whole, I don't know if it's Brock just desperate to not want to give up, playing time or whatever because he feels pressure with the contract. But clearly what they're doing isn't working.
It just doesn't make any sense for him to be in a limited practice, because if he has no shot of playing this weekend, there is zero reason for him to be doing anything that puts that foot at risk or that toe at risk.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense. Either he has a chance to play in Houston or he shouldn't be practicing at all. There's a disconnect here where it's not making sense. And that's the question I wish Shanahan had been asked, that if Purdy has zero chance of playing this week and he had a setback less than a week ago, why is he practicing this week at all? Why is he not just automatically not allowed on the field?
Well, and not only that, but if he's not going to play, then let Adrian Martinez get the reps as the backup, right? Like,
Yeah,
like
Mac, 5 of them.
But if Mac goes down, and Mac's not 100%, although he did practice in full today, which is good. But like, what are we doing here? It just seems, we always think of the health, sports, and what's the training staff as like, oh, do guys get hurt or not? Well, a huge part of the training staff's responsibility is maintenance and making decisions like this. And this clearly doesn't seem like the smartest decision. And it hasn't been working, obviously, because he came back, and the second he came back, he got hurt again. I don't think we're going to see Brock Purdy the rest of the way. I really don't. I think he's going to go on IR in a couple of weeks, and then I think they're going to announce that he needs surgery, and it's just going to be Mac Jones the rest of the way. Now, by the way, luckily for the 49ers, that doesn't really, like, they could still get to the playoffs with Mac Jones, but I think that is what's going to happen.
I think that's essentially what's going to happen, but I would add one wrinkle to it. I think he will see the field again this year. I think they will wait 2-3 weeks, maybe after the bye, and they'll say, okay, he's been pain-free for a week, 2 weeks. Let's see what he can do. By waiting, we don't lose anything, because Joe Burrow had this surgery, and he could potentially be back for playoffs. Now, Cincinnati's probably not making the playoffs, but
he had the surgery weeks ago.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if he has it 2 months later, if Joe Burrow could return mid-January and Brock Purdy's having the surgery, a month from now after he tried to play and it started hurting again, you're talking about having the surgery 2 months after that. That would put his timetable in middle of March returning. That doesn't change anything. So I think that's the situation we're in, where it doesn't hurt anything to keep waiting, and maybe it heals. That's where I feel like we're at. And I feel like Brock in that scenario is going to say, if I am sitting and waiting, then if I get a period where I don't have pain for a week, I want to try to play a game, and maybe it just doesn't hurt again.
Okay. That sounds,
you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing lost waiting. What's lost?
Well, the lost is the sooner he has the surgery, the sooner he can come back. Like, he could have the surgery right away, right? And then he could have come back in the regular season.
Well, if he had, well, not regular season, he would have had the same timetable as Joe Burrow, right? So it would have been, he could be back potentially for the playoffs. Unlikely, but possible. But that ship has sailed. So the ship that you are in now is he could return right at the beginning of the offseason in February, when he's not allowed to do anything with the team anyways, or he could wait, and if he needs the surgery, he can still return before the offseason workout program. So, like, there's no loss in waiting at this point.
I think we have seen the last of Brock Purdy on the field this season for the 49ers. I don't like the way this whole thing has gone down. Luckily, Mac Jones has been playing well. Now, I think he was playing better earlier. I think his play has sort of decreased a little. Now, last week, there wasn't much opportunity for him to do anything, to be fair, because they were running the hell out of the ball. So he didn't really need to do anything. But he also hasn't thrown a touchdown in back-to-back weeks, Levin. Brock Purdy has never gone back-to-back weeks without throwing a touchdown pass. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're in this Mac boat of he could turn into a pumpkin. It's not, oh, he's a good, just maybe not great quarterback. No, that's not known yet. Can he be good? Can he continue to play at the level that he's played? Absolutely. Could a defense also make an adjustment and he just can't rise above it, especially with the limited receiver options he has currently? That's also possible. Like, there is downside here. You know what I mean? I don't think there's too much upside other than what we've seen already. I think he's playing about as well as he can play, but the downside is still there. Like, it's not set in stone that he's a starting caliber quarterback already.
Yeah, I don't think he is. I'm glad to see him doing what he did. I think Kyle Shanahan is helping a lot with that. But I would, if you gave me the choice right now, I mean, assuming both are healthy, obviously, I would take Brock over Purdy, Brock over Mac, excuse me, and I would not think twice about it. I wouldn't even hesitate at that point. I know there are some people out there that would at this point. I'm not in that. I'm not in that. Especially, we could see it this week because that Texans defense, Levin. Woo, man. This is legit. This is not, oh, the Atlanta Falcons are really good against the pass, but they stink against the run. This is the Houston Texans. We've given up the second fewest yards. They've given up the fewest points in the league, less than 15 points per game. That defensive front can get after it. I think they're going to be able to get pressure on Mac. I think his lack of mobility could be an issue more so than it has since he's become the starter.
Yeah, so this was going to be a hot take, but I didn't think it made sense to hold it for hot takes because it's too important to this game. Christian McCaffrey is going to have the worst game he's had all season because DeMeco Ryans, one, knows Christian McCaffrey as well as any defensive coordinator. Two, I think 100% you would be stupid to not have a defensive philosophy of we're not going to allow that guy to catch the ball out of the backfield and see what they can do when that's taken away. Like that's how they're moving the chains. They're converting because they're constantly getting these 5 to 10 yard gains by just dumping it off to Christian McCaffrey. Take that away, and I think you're going to be looking at like a lot of 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 9s. And I don't think they can convert those consistently. They might be able to get some converted, but they can't convert those consistently with the wide receivers they have currently. So I expect DeMeco Ryans to completely sell out on defense to stop Christian McCaffrey and say, all right, Mac Jones, you beat us.
The 49ers right now have converted 47.5% of their third downs. That is the second highest percentage in the league, only behind the Green Bay Packers. But I will point out the Niners have had 26 more attempts on third down than the Green Bay Packers. So to me, right now, the Niners are the best third down offense in the NFL. Part of it, especially last week, was they weren't really in 3rd and long that much. They were running the ball so well last week against Atlanta. I could count on one hand the number of 3rd and longs they had. One of the only ones was the one at the end of the game that was massively important where Atlanta only had 10 defenders. But that's where they need to live. That's exactly where they need to live. Because I agree, if you get in 3rd and long against Houston, you are in trouble, especially because it looks like Ricky Pearsall is not going to play. That injury is even more confounding, Levin. Nobody touched him. He just fell on it wrong, and he hasn't even been able to practice in like a month.
Yeah, what is the injury?
Knee.
Why wasn't he in IR? Like on IR? Like there's multiple questions, I think, at this point that you're raising. One about Pearsall and one about Purdy of, did you misdiagnose this in the beginning? In terms of, with Pearsall, did you misdiagnose the injury, period?
Uh-oh. Levin just disappeared on me. I can't say I'm that upset about it. We'll see if he can come back and hop in. It's a good question to ask, though. Did we misdiagnose it? They keep saying he hasn't had a setback. Well, okay, but then why is it taking so long? That would be my question. No setback, but then you weren't able to diagnose how long this thing would take to heal. Something is weird there about Ricky. We need more information. Like, what is the actual injury? Did he crack a kneecap? Is it a PCL injury? Is it an MCL injury? Like, what is the actual injury to Pearsall? We don't know.
That was the weirdest disconnect ever. My page literally just refreshed to, hey, can't load the page.
As I said when you disappeared, I'm not that mad about it.
Uh-huh. All right. I made it 14 minutes. Should I do hot takes and then you can finish the show? No, so what I was saying is, did they misdiagnose both players in terms of severity? Did they look at it and say, oh, this isn't that major, we don't need to do IR? And then both of them turned out to be, no, you missed something here. This was worse than you thought.
I don't know, but it's really friggin' annoying. They desperately need him. They desperately need him back. Juwan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne just ain't cutting it. It's not working, man. Thank God.
It's cutting it, but only barely. And part of that is because they haven't faced a great defense like they are this week.
AW says, agree. Reporters need to ask Kyle about Ricky's injury. It seems pretty serious, yet no news on it. They did ask today, like, did he have a setback? And Kyle keeps saying, no, no, no. It's just taking longer than we thought to heal. It's like, well, then you misdiagnosed it. Isn't that kind of what we're saying here?
Yeah. The injuries this year are just weird. Like, there are injuries, it's just bad luck. You know what I mean? Or the curse happening, whatever you want to call it, in terms of the amount of injuries. But then there's also this wrinkle, which is, to me, the more concerning one, because you get bad luck when it comes to injuries, and the Niners certainly get it more than any other team, but there's not much you can do to change that. But in terms of saying this guy is going to be back maybe in a week or two, and then they're 4 weeks later and the guy isn't even practicing yet, that's a big concern of who the heck are your doctors and do they know what they're doing?
Did you see this in the Matt Barrows mailbag?
Yeah.
He took a note. He was basically like, he was asked about hamstring injuries around the league because it seems like the Niners have a lot of guys with them. So he went around and he looked at everybody. Let me get the actual thing. Here's the best list I could come up with when it comes to the number of players per squad who have either gone on injured reserve for, left a game for, or shown up on a game status report with a hamstring injury since week 1. The Chiefs and Cowboys haven't had a single person, which is remarkable. Then you've got the Bills, Broncos, Eagles, and Raiders with 1. You've got the Bears, Bengals, Cardinals, Commanders, Dolphins, Giants, Jags, Packers, Rams, Seahawks, and Saints with 2. The Bucks, Colts, Jets, Texans, and Titans with 3. And then you've got the 49ers in a group with the Browns, Chargers, Falcons, Panthers, Patriots, Ravens, Steelers, and Vikings at 4. And the Lions stand alone at 5. So the Niners are not the worst, but they're pretty close.
So scroll up. And while you scroll up to the start of that, I'll explain that I think the reason why, right there is good. The reason why it feels like the Niners have more is because who has had them? George Kittle. You got Gross Matos, who was supposed to be one of the edge rushers, and especially with the Nick Bosa injury, it was a name that they were hoping that would come back. Jake Brindle, a starter on the offensive line. Bryce Huff, a starter on the defensive line. It's big players, big names. So if it feels like the Niners have more of them, they don't have more of them, but in terms of value lost due to hamstrings, I'm sure they're winning it in a landslide.
And Brendo's been relatively healthy for them too. Say what you want about his play on the field, but he's usually been out there at least enough to play. The Bryce Huff one obviously is devastating. Although I was looking at it and I was trying, maybe I was going through some copium. I'm willing to admit that this may be the case, but we know the Houston Texans have problems on the offensive line. It's not good. They've not been able to get it sorted out. CJ Stroud has been sacked 15 times in 6 games. That's 9th most in the league. So they may have some opportunity. Hopefully, maybe this is a game where Michael Williams and Alfred Collins could get a little something going from a pass rush perspective. And I noticed this too. When you get to Stroud, it's for big losses. He has lost 139 yards on sacks this year. That is 4th most in the entire league. So basically, you sack CJ Stroud, that possession is over because he's losing a big chunk of yardage. This might be one of the weeks where, okay, we don't have Bryce Huff, but they may hopefully be able to mitigate that a little bit just because of who they're playing.
CJ Stroud is one of those guys that thinks he's an athletic quarterback that's not really an athletic quarterback. Can he run some? Yeah. But there are plays, and I'm not going to sit here and say I've seen every Houston game. A lot of it is I go and watch the highlights, which sacks are in the highlights. But he tries to spin out of sacks, and he spins going backwards. You know what I mean? It's where he gets in trouble because he also gets turnovers from that, and he's had some turnover troubles in his past. It's if you can get to him, he's going to make it worse.
Good. We could use a little of that. I always tell my son when we're watching the Niners, don't make a bad play worse. When we watch football, we see quarterback like, oh, you fumbled the ball. Don't try to pick it up and run with it. Just dive on it. Don't make a bad play worse. If CJ Stroud is doing that, that's going to only work in our favor. Let's go. Damn it. We need this one. This would be a nice win to get against a good coach. Shanahan's record against his former guys is pretty good. The record against.
Sorry. I saw that as one of the comments, and I was going to respond to the comment, but we never got to it. You're saying it. His record against fellow offensive former coaches that he's had is great. Defense, we don't really know. There's not enough substance there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he beat Saleh when they played head-to-head, if memory serves, but that's the Jets. So does it really count? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. Like, DeMeco Ryans is certainly smart enough, and we know he was somebody that really adjusted his defense. Like, he would adjust his defense in the middle of a game. He knows what Kyle does. Kyle is going to attack your tendencies. So I fully expect Houston to say, all right, we are throwing our tendencies out of the window in this game, and we are going to break those tendencies in this game. Because if we don't, Shanahan's going to destroy us.
Well, to be fair, like, there aren't really a lot of defensive coaches that have gone on to get head coaching jobs of his. Saleh and DeMeco are the only ones, and he beat Saleh. We don't know about DeMeco, but, I feel like Kyle is just better at breaking it down than the other guys. Like, he's better at breaking down your offensive system. He's better at breaking down your defensive system. I don't know who said it, if it was Kittle or somebody, but it's like, as long as Kyle Shanahan doesn't get injured, the Niners seem like they're going to be okay. I think they'll come up with something to move the ball. And I have to say, I've been impressed with them this year because they've won games throwing the ball 40 times and they've won games running the ball 40 times. And, I think that there's a tendency, because of how they won in the past with this coach and some of these same players, to say, oh, that's the 49ers that we know. That's their identity. And that's what they need to do every single week. And I don't know if I agree with that. I followed the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they won the NBA championship last year. And their GM had a great quote before this season began. And it was basically, I'm going to butcher it. I'll try and paraphrase it. But basically what he said was, we've got to win with this team this year. We're not going to win another title trying to do an impression of ourselves. And I think sometimes the temptation with the 49ers is we want them to do it the way they did it in 2023 or 2019 or other years. They don't have to. They don't have to be those teams. They don't need to be a run-first team this year. What I think their identity actually is this year is adaptability. Because of all the injuries, they're not a running team or a passing team. They are a winning team, at least right now. I think their identity is doing whatever they have to do in a given week to get the win. And I didn't think that they had the kind of team this year that could do that. I thought that their sort of path to victory was kind of narrow. But what I've learned so far through these first 7 games is, turns out they can win games a lot of different ways.
The one thing we don't really know is, in terms of ways they can win, is, can they win when the game script is not controlled by them?
Yes.
Can they win when they get down big?
Mm-hmm.
Can they hold a lead when they get up big early? You know what I mean? Or do they fall apart in the second half because they got up 17-0 or something? We haven't seen them in that scenario. Every game has been close. And so that's what I want to see. And that's also, as I've mentioned, I want to see out of Mac Jones. What happens when he gets down by 14 points? Does he fall apart trying to force things? Or does he keep saying, I'm going to just keep executing, I'm going to trust the system, I'm going to trust Shanahan's play calling, and just take what's there, and we'll chip away at it?
That's a fair question. And we don't know. That's why I was sort of hoping against the Rams. Remember, they got up 14-0 right away. First 2 possessions, it was like, bam. And then they got the fumble. And I was like, oh, here we go. If we can get up 3 possessions, like, that would have been a chance to see it. They didn't. And ultimately the Rams tightened that up. And obviously it went to overtime, and we all know how that went. But we got to see, can they do that? Can they sit on it? I don't know. But I've been impressed so far with their just the fact that they went into games with the game plan of, all right, we're going to pass it to win this week. We're going to run. Shanahan was telling them all week last week, run it 40 times, run it 40 times. George Kittle said his goal was to get Christian McCaffrey NFC Player of the Week, which, by the way, mission accomplished, George. And I don't know if you watched the little mic'd up thing that the 49ers put out, but multiple players in that thing said, run it 40 times, run it down their throat. Like, clearly that was their thing this week. That I don't think can be the game plan against Houston, because you're not going to be able to push those guys around the same way you can push around Atlanta. So I don't know what the game plan will be for this week, but I've been impressed by the versatility and the flexibility especially because if Kyle had his druthers, he would run the ball 40 times a week, every week.
According to him, he wants 50-50. That's what he shoots for. But no, if I'm Houston, I am cheating down. I am stacking that box, and I am making sure Christian McCaffrey is covered out of the backfield. There will be a spy on him. And what that makes you susceptible to is the thing that I don't think these wide receivers are capable of. Beating them deep. None of them are burners. Jennings isn't like, can he have the occasional 20-plus yard catch? Yeah, but he's not going to win a go route. You know what I mean? Right. And same with Kendrick Bourne and the other receivers. They're not winning go routes. So that's what, if I'm Houston, I'm daring them to beat us by throwing 30-plus yards down the field. And if they do, hats off to you. But that's the way I think you beat this 49ers team, and that's the game script. I'm worried, or the blueprint, or whatever you want to call it, I'm worried about somebody finding success with, and the 49ers don't have an answer for it because they don't have a speed receiver currently.
Yes, they do. They just don't play him. His name is Jordan Watkins.
Well, yes, but he's not playing.
But I agree with you. Like, teams are like, all right, maybe Juwan Jennings could beat us on a go route, but we need to see it happen before we really worry about it. Same thing with Kendrick Bourne. Now, Kittle does change that a little.
If they throw him out there, that's the problem, is they're holding him back a lot. That's why he had 0 catches.
Yes, but I think that was by design with part of the game plan. I think that hopefully this week they'll loosen the chain a little bit with him. He does change that a little bit, but that's why I've wanted to see Jordan Watkins in there. Like, Kendrick Bourne doesn't know where to line up either. That's the thing. It's like, oh, well, Kyle likes veteran guys. Mac Jones is telling Kendrick Bourne where to go on a lot of the plays. Why can't that be Jordan Watkins? Like, I'm sorry. To me, put him in there. He runs a 4.36. I know that doesn't mean everything, but to me, Jordan Watkins can give you everything Kendrick Bourne has given you, plus he has that added dimension. And don't talk to me about blocking, because Kendrick Bourne's blocking has been rancid this year. The film is the film. It has been rancid. So I would love to see it. I think you may have to in the coming week. Like, you're going to have to add something dynamic on offense, unless you're just going to hope and pray that Ricky Pearsall comes back. But even then, like, you can have more than one fast guy.
I would like to see them not make a wholesale change. Like, Bourne is producing, so you don't want to just completely make the swap. But I'd like to see Watkins get a chance to show what he can do. Give him, 5 to 10 routes a game, and make sure one of them is he is the guy that this is designed for, so that we can try to get the ball in his hands and see what he can do. You know what I mean? Like, give him an opportunity, but I don't think he's ready to just be the guy.
I don't think Kendrick Bourne is producing because of anything Kendrick Bourne is doing. I think Kendrick Bourne is producing because Kyle Shanahan has him in there and is drawing up plays for him. I really don't like, where is it where Kendrick Bourne is just cooking his guy off the line of scrimmage and getting, like, I don't know. Look, it's entirely possible I'm completely wrong. I'm fully willing to admit that, but I would like to see it. How is it possible, Levin, that we are going into week 8 and the only rookie on the 49ers to have caught a pass this season is Connor Colby? That's a true statement. It's not.
What other rookie has had a chance? Has there been another? Point. I don't think there has been.
Like Nick Martin, Jordan James, Jordan Watkins, wastes of picks, just sitting on the sidelines watching the game. At least Nick Martin got in last week. But damn, man, let these people into the game. Let them play. It's, you talk about, well, this guy's not ready, that guy's not ready. Sometimes you got to play them before they're ready. You got to throw them in the deep end of the pool and let them go. And again, Kendrick Bourne doesn't know what he's doing out there anyway. So he's, quote unquote, not ready either, but he gets to play.
I mean, as I said on the instant reaction, nobody thought Brock Purdy was ready. That's why he was the third string. Nobody thought Fred Warner was ready. That's why Reuben Foster was playing over him. Like, yeah, some guys prove it when they're given the opportunity. You might see flashes in practice, but not consistency. And then they go in the game and it's like, oh, they're capable of doing what we saw as flashes in practice pretty consistently on the field. We should play them more. Like the 49ers, the NFL is riddled with guys that would have never gotten the opportunity except for injuries forced you to play them. And then, wow, they're really good.
Right. And, you say like flashes with Jordan Watkins. Yeah, that flash might be a 40-yard catch and run or a 40-yard bomb, right? And then he may screw up a route on 2nd and 3, right? Like it could be both. But sometimes, especially if these games are going to be close and especially if they're going to be lower scoring, that 40-yard play may make all the difference.
It certainly could. I would love to see it. There have been multiple plays this season that a different receiver got the reception that would have been a long touchdown if it was somebody that had any kind of top end speed. And Kendrick Bourne probably has more of those than anybody. Like I said, Kendrick Bourne is, I get what you're saying, but in the end, he is producing. Jennings is not producing. So I'm hesitant to just say, all right, we're going to give Watkins snaps at the cost of Kendrick Bourne.
And Jennings, you could even argue all right, dude, you got 5 broken ribs plus 3 other injuries. Sit out. And he doesn't want to because he's got those contract incentives and this is his contract year. I get that. But dude, you're not really doing yourself any favors by going out there and doing nothing either way. So Joseph Ernberg says Watkins and James won't play all season nor next season. Well, that's a little much, although who knows? Because Jacob Cowing didn't play his rookie year and he certainly hasn't played. Is he still alive? Is he on the team? Where is the Jacob Cowing situation?
I don't know.
Right.
Nobody has asked.
Has he shown up for work? Do we need a search party for Jacob Cowing? I don't know. That part of it is frustrating. But like we said, the 49ers have largely been successful on offense this season. They're going to have to do it differently against Houston. Hopefully that means more George Kittle. In a minute, I want to talk about the flip side of this because I think this could be the week that the 49ers defense really, really shine. This could be a big Eddie Pinheiro week as well. But
every week has been a big Eddie Pinheiro week.
Yeah, it has. And oh, by the way, Levin, every week I tell people, take Eddie Pinheiro to make more than 1.5 field goals. And every week I'm right. The man is a machine. He is phenomenal out there. I love watching it. I love how field goals have gone from a butt clench moment to just all right, we're going to get 3 more points here type of moment. That is the kind of kicker you need. And by the way, I keep telling you to make your picks and take Eddie Pinheiro to make more than 1.5 field goals. He keeps cashing on Sleeper. It's there every week for you. You should make that pick. You should make all the picks we tell you to make. We have hit 70% of them, including last week. We were 5 of 8. We're 34 of 49 on the year. Please listen to us, and then we can all make money together. And if you do it with Sleeper, you could win up to 1,000 times your cash. Just pick on stats like field goals made, touchdowns, receiving yards. You know what stats are if you're watching this. It's that simple. And if you haven't signed up yet, now is the perfect time because new users will get a free $20 entry. Even if you don't deposit any money, just sign up. You get the free $20 entry. And if you do deposit money, use our code GSP so you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Again, that's code GSP. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Let's go over to the other side of the ball. The Texans offense is not very good. And Nico Collins is in the concussion protocol. They are going to be down some people, Levin. I think this is a week where Salah's defense, they may put up a Texans 14.7 point per game effort.
Let's hope. It's hard to set your expectations for this defense because they're down Bosa and because they're down Warner. I came into last week with no expectations whatsoever for the defense, and then they played a phenomenal game. So it's okay, now I kind of have expectations for you again. But should I? Is the question. It's hard to gauge this team. I mean, I kind of put this defense as treated kind of like a rookie player. All right, I've seen something for one game, but you're a rookie, so I don't know that I can trust it. So you got to show it to me again.
By the way, Renardo Green limited today with that toe injury. Diamador Lenore did not practice today with a quad injury. So now, thank God, I shouldn't say that. That's not what I mean. Nico Collins not being in the game will benefit the 49ers, obviously, particularly if they are down both corners. I don't mean to say, thank God Nico Collins is hurt. That's not what I mean at all. But when your top two corners are down, you don't want to face the other team's top wide receiver, especially when it's as good as Nico Collins. What are we looking at on the outside? It's Chase Lucas and Upton Stout, maybe, and
Luter?
Darrell Luter Jr. Ooh. Oh, God. We better get a pass rush.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, at some point, you got to figure the defense is just going to fall apart, but they haven't yet. And that's hats off to everybody involved. But at the same time, sitting back and trying to be objective and not a homer, you got to sit there and go, can they hold anybody under 30 points? Like, 30 points is kind of, like that was my expectation going into last week. I expected them to give up 30 points. If it was less than 30 points, I was going to be, to varying degrees, okay with it. This week, I don't know that I'd change much. If Demo can't play, then it's once again like if they allow less than 30 points, it's a miracle.
The Niners have only given up 30 once this year, and it was against Tampa Bay. And they set up Tampa with at least one possession that was pretty much right in the red zone in that game. Other than that, they've given up 13, 21, 15, 26, 23 in overtime, 30 to the Bucs, and 10 last week to Atlanta. And I kind of agree with Tony. This will be the game where the Niners stop the interception drought. 14 straight games they've gone without an interception. Wouldn't it be hilarious if in a game where you don't have Bernardo Green and Diamador Lenore, that's the game you get the interception?
I'm all for it. I'd love to see an interception.
It could be. It could be that.
I've forgotten what they look like.
Right? I mean, God, it is like that play to Jennings last week. Mac throws to Jennings, Clang off the hands, intercept. I'm sitting there like, how has that not happened to us in 14 games? This is basically like a full season where that has not happened. It's amazing to me that this is where we are, but we are here.
I feel like if you took a blind poll of NFL fans, and you said, here's your blind team, they have 0 interceptions on the season, and their offense is in the bottom half of the league in terms of points per game. What is their record after 7 games? The average would probably be like 1 win. It would be like, some people would say 0, some would say 1. At most, people would guess 3. Like, that's not a good profile, yet they're 5-2. Like, this is up there in terms of one of the weirdest seasons, because a lot of things on paper say this team should be already looking at the draft.
Yeah, including their turnover differential, which is -5 right now on the year. The Niners have no interceptions. They have 6 fumble recoveries, which seems really high in 7 games. That's crazy. Which you definitely can't count on that to continue, because fumble luck is crazy. They have 8 passing interceptions, like giveaways, and 3 fumbles lost on the season. So 11 total giveaways, 6 total takeaways. It's gonna. You'd like to think it's gonna even out, but who knows? Maybe it just never will. I mean, we had that one year with the Niners where they had 3 interceptions the whole season.
Yep, and
could be another one of those years.
At this point, it's unlikely. I mean, they have 0 through 7 games. They have 10 games left to get 4 to not have one of those seasons.
God. I mean, maybe they just start stripping the ball. Maybe that's that they get their turnovers through fumbles. I don't know. But man, it would sure help. I mean, the Niners have had 3 games without a takeaway this season, and they have only had 1 game without giving the ball the other team. So they are giving the ball to the other team, and they are not taking away from the other team at nearly the same rate. That is not a winning combination. Again, you talk about like, can this continue and them still get wins? Maybe it can. Maybe it's just going to be one of those weird as hell years, but there are some trends here that we sure would like to see turn around.
Yeah, I mean, turnover differential is one of the biggest and most consistent indicators for overall record. Mm-hmm. So if the Niners continue down this path, odds say it's not going to go well for them.
Oh, I thought you had more there.
No, I thought that was a great point.
I
thought you were having a moment of silence for how good it was.
Yeah, that's really because that's what I'm known for. My moments of silence. Anyway, Like, apparently you're rolling, so let's get to
Levin's hot takes.
All right, Mr. Black, what do you got for us?
I'm going to start out with the little milder one, and it is only trade for players signed for more than this season. I am not in favor of adding a player that is on a one and done remainder of this season contract. It's just not a team that's going to win a Super Bowl. They should make the playoffs, but I don't want to spend draft capital getting somebody that's here and gone. I am in favor, and I am perfectly fine with trading for a player that's also signed for next year. Somebody like, Jermaine Johnson would help a lot on the defensive line, and he's around next year as a good pass rusher. It's $13 million. Can they work that into the budget? I don't know. But if they can, then I'm in favor of that type of move. But I don't want to see a one and done player at it.
Kyle Shanahan basically said that he agrees with you. I think it was on the Monday conference call. He didn't totally rule it out, but he was basically like, we want guys that can help for more than 1 year. You've ruled out a Trey Hendrickson trade is essentially what you've done. It doesn't look like he's going to get moved, at least right now anyway. I find it hilarious, by the way, that we keep seeing, Dallas Cowboys are talking about Max Crosby. It's like, you had Micah Parsons. Now you're going to take the picks you got from trading Micah Parsons to get another pass rusher? That's just weird. I'm fine with whatever, to be honest with you. Maybe this is just my, I'm in pain because my Mariners lost, so I just want to see teams win, and I'm not to hell with the consequences. But whatever the case may be, I would like to see them make a move. I think they will make at least one move. It might be like a Charles Omenihu type move, though, which might be all they need. Like, I'm not saying that's terrible. But I think they will do something. I don't think they're going to make a big, massive swing. I don't even know, other than Trey Hendrickson, who would be out there that you would think would provide that big of a swing, at least from a pass rushing perspective.
If Phillips out of Miami, potentially. I mean, it's a little bit more of change of scenery, could suddenly jumpstart him again because he looked really promising in his second year, and it just kind of hasn't materialized. Injuries have kind of robbed him of some stuff since. But Jermaine Johnson, it's not a one and done, but he was literally an all-pro in his second year with Robert Saleh as his head coach. You got the McDonald also with the Jets, although I read that the Jets are not really wanting to move him because he's on a third year rather than a fourth year of his contract. But I wouldn't say it's a huge market for difference makers, but there's a decent market for like the buy low, like an Arden Key is the main one I'm looking at. Like, do I want to trade a 5th round pick for Arden Key? No, I don't.
I don't either. Here's the other part of this that's a little scary. You keep bringing in all these guys that were all pros for Robert Saleh and that were pumpkins without Robert Saleh. Well, there's a big possibility you're not going to have Robert Saleh next year. So then do you want your roster full of guys that stunk without Robert Saleh? Like, that's kind of a scary prospect.
It is. We can talk about that more because I'm going to have a surprise third one, hot take.
Hi-oh! Surprise. Well, you know what? I got to tell you, you better step it up because Wedge Antilles says, Levin, Captain Easy Stance, lukewarm takes. So
it was a good week. Like, there's not a lot of, well, that wasn't good. They fixed the run game. Can't do a hot take on that. I'm going to do a hot take on Mac Jones.
They don't all have, they don't all have to be negative. They could be positive. You could say the 49ers are going undefeated the rest of the season. That'd be a hot take.
Yeah, that would also be homerism. The second one, I think, is a little hotter.
All right.
Bethune will be better than Winters. He will replace Winters next season and be the number 2 linebacker.
Okay. Now this is a little spicy. Why? Convince me.
He looked like somebody that doesn't really make mistakes. He's not the athlete D. Winters is, but he's not terrible. And I felt like he looked like somebody that knows what he's doing, knows where he's supposed to be, and gets there most of the time. He's had 10 tackles last week. He had 10 tackles after Fred Warner went down the previous week. 9 of those tackles have been solo tackles.
Woo.
He also has the tackle for loss from this past week. Like, he looks like in a 1.5 game sample, a poor man's Fred Warner. No, he doesn't have the athleticism, but he does a lot similar things. Plus, like, he's doing the play calling. He's the one that's relaying the play calls in. Like
Yep.
that tells you the mental makeup of him is strong.
Yes, I think they had a lot of faith in him. They showed a lot of faith in him to put that on his plate, and he certainly played well. I love that play where he flattened Bijan Robinson right down the middle of the formation. That was beautiful. You know, he doesn't have Fred's coverage skills. Nobody does. But maybe he's a little bit, maybe he's got something in the pass rushing department that they could utilize that. He doesn't have to do it exactly the same way Fred Warner did.
I mean, not many people can truck a linebacker or a running back like he did. Like he literally just ran over him and still got to the quarterback.
It was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. I like more people making fun of your hot takes. Matthew Bolts, the YouTube channel member, says, Levin's hot take, Christian McCaffrey is good at football. Yes, keep those coming. I absolutely love it. Benali says, hot take, 49ers will win this game because Shanahan always beats his underlings, and then they'll lose to the New York Giants at MetLife.
Look, mobile quarterbacks scare me to begin with, but with this defensive line, mobile quarterbacks scare me even more. Like, you want to limit this defense? All right, you got a bunch of backups playing on the defensive line. Are they going to be able to keep contained? I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah, I'll worry about the Giants come Giants week. I'm not going to worry about them now. Maybe the Giants will dominate for 3 quarters, and then the Niners will score 33 in the fourth, like Denver did.
That was an insane game. So this surprise one is probably the most spicy.
Okay.
If the 49ers win this game, they will be able to replace Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator with DeMeco Ryans.
No, you think Ryans is going to get fired by the end of the year?
They will be 2-5, and the sinking ship will be starting. They would have to rebound. You got Nico Collins is not having that great of a year. Certainly not what they expected. He's now, like you said, in concussion protocol. Like this could fall apart on them. And I think it swings both ways. If they fall to 2-5, you're going to start to hear some chatter about, is DeMeco Ryans going to be back? And at the same time, if they keep winning, the chatter of Saleh definitely being a head coach next year is going to pick up steam. So I think it's like a double swing if the 49ers can win this game and take into account the Texans losing this game at home.
Now, you're not, to be clear, you're not saying he's going to get fired right after the game.
I'm saying like at the end of the year, he will be a roaming free agent of a coach, and he will be there for the taking to come in and once again replace Robert Saleh, which would be hilarious, and I would also welcome it.
Wouldn't that be insane? So Saleh comes to rehab his career after getting fired. He comes, balls out, looks great, gets hired again, and then DeMeco Ryans says, hey, you know what? I like the Kyle Shanahan rehabilitation program. I'll do that for another year. That would be fascinating if it happened. And you're right. Like, okay, sign me up. I'm in.
I just had a thought, and I don't know what the rule is on this. Do you get comp picks if the same person is rehired as a head coach? I would assume you do.
You do, but they have to stay for more than 1 year.
Well, yeah, okay.
Yes,
yeah.
but it doesn't
Saleh leaves, they're not going to get comp picks for Saleh.
Yes, in theory, you could keep getting those picks for the same person. It doesn't matter as long as that person is a minority coach. So, yeah, in theory, yes, but they have to stay for more than 1 year.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this, and I have watched a couple games of Houston. I have a friend that's a big Houston fan, and it's a team that just hasn't progressed. DeMeco came in, and he immediately kind of raised to the bar, but then it's stayed there. And if they fall to 2-5, I think it starts to go down. And I don't feel like they can sit there and be, if they're a 6-11 team, I don't know that he sticks around. Like, because if you're I know McNair isn't big on firing people, but you got to look at the team and say, like, do I think DeMeco Ryans is the guy to get the most out of CJ Stroud? And if they're 6-11, I think the answer is no. So I would think you want to go in, because I think that's the biggest criticism of DeMeco Ryans is he can't seem to hire the right guy as an offensive coordinator.
Well, they've had problems there, yes.
Exactly. So I think if they're sitting there at 6-11, maybe even 7-10, if I'm the owners, I'm saying, I think CJ Stroud could be our franchise quarterback. I need to get an offensive coach in here to see if we can unlock him so that I know the answer for sure one way or the other so that I can move this franchise along.
Now, look, DeMeco won 10 games in 2023 and 2024, and he won playoff games in each of those years. So if they were to fire him after one bad year, I would say that would be crazy. But you're right. They have had problems on the offensive side of the ball. It does appear to have gotten much worse this year. They tried to fix the offensive line. They have not fixed the offensive line. I would still be shocked, but stranger things have certainly happened for sure. And let's just say if it did happen and we had to lose Robert Saleh, there is one guy I would want back to do it. And it ain't Gus Bradley. Sorry, Gus. I know you're the DC in waiting.
Oh, you went Gus Bradley? I thought you were going to go with Steve Wilkes.
Well, somebody said as long as Wilkes doesn't come back. Matthew Bolt said as long as Wilkes doesn't come in after DeMeco Ryans leaves. I don't think there's any chance of that, by the way. How's his defense looking? Woo!
Yeah, not good.
No. Benali says at most they might not extend Stroud this offseason, and I still think they'll do that as well, too. They're fire their GM before they fire DeMeco. I wouldn't fire DeMeco, but teams do dumb things all the time.
I wouldn't either unless there was like a great offensive person that I knew I could get as the head coach, like knew for certain. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm not sure that there is one out there this year. But like last year, if there was a Ben Johnson and I put out a feeler and he was like, if I get offered that job, I would take it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'd maybe make the move.
All right. Do you have any more hot takes for us?
That wasn't enough.
Well, I would say one was hot. The rest of them were mild at best.
I think Bethune being better than D. Winters is pretty hot. Yes, the first one was mild. That's why I led with it. But I do think like it is something pertinent to right now. I don't want them adding somebody that's just here and then gone. It's not. There's no point.
I'm looking for a comment that Benali had about Chase Lucas. Benali, what did you say about Chase Lucas was talking about Brock Purdy? Was that a thing that happened?
I think she said my hot takes are awesome.
No, she definitely. Benali is one of the, if not the smartest commenter we have, certainly one of them. Frisbee Life on Twitch says tepid Levin takes. How about that? That's what we should call it. Levin's tepid takes.
Look, things are going well right now. Usually I have much hotter takes. Last year I had hot takes without us calling it a hot take segment because every week I was pissed off. It's hard to be pissed off after this last week. Like I said in the instant reaction, it's the first game in a long time where I was just happy throughout.
Just fun. Yeah, it was nice. It was so nice to just watch them carve people up on the ground. It's like, and it was nice to see like, hey, Christian McCaffrey still knows how to play football too. That was definitely part of it. It was, reassuring, right? Because we were all kind of wondering like, oh, no. We know it's going to end sometime, right? He's not a spring chicken anymore. He's an older guy. He's had a lot of touches, but nope, it didn't end. It didn't end last week. That was for sure.
What do you think of those stats I sent you after our show? After the instant reaction as I was going to bed.
Oh, yeah. Let me look. Do you have them handy? Otherwise, I'll pull them up.
I basically know them.
It's about Christian McCaffrey's usage. There it is. He's on pace to set the record for most receiving yards by a running back by over 100. Yep. He's on pace to set the running back receptions record and top 7 all time at any position, top 5 all time scrimmage yards, and the first ever to have 2 seasons of 1,000. He's on pace for 1,100 rushing and 1,200 receiving with 14 total touchdowns. Yeah.
And by the way, he's on pace for the 5th most touches ever in a season at 450 now. Damn. 450. How many do you think Saquon had last year in the regular season?
Not sure. 400?
384.
And how's he look this year, by the way?
Well, he ended up having a bunch in the playoffs, but I think even with the playoffs, it was only around 440. Christian McCaffrey's on pace to have more than that in the regular season. It's not sustainable. Let's just be honest. It is not sustainable. Like, it is awesome that he's doing it, but they do need to find a way to not use him so much because he's not going to make it through.
I guess, but again, they need to use him. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. So it doesn't matter if it's sustainable, man. Like, you got to keep doing it until it doesn't sustain. Because what's their option otherwise?
I don't know about you, but I don't want to watch a Mac Jones, Kendrick Bourne playoff team where that's all there is.
Well, if you take Christian McCaffrey out, they're not getting to the playoffs anyway. So you won't have that problem.
Yeah, it is insane, but it's insane in both positive and negative ways. The amount of usage is insane and a negative, but because of all that usage and the fact that he's still been able to be efficient on the passing side, he's on pace for, I think it was like 1,253 receiving yards, which is insane as a running back. And I think it was 119 catches, which is insane.
That is ridiculous.
Think about a wide receiver. If you said a wide receiver had a season of 119 catches, 1,253 yards, it actually might be 126 catches because I think it was just under 10 yards per reception. But 126 receptions, 1,253 yards, and 7 touchdowns, you'd say, oh, that guy might be an all-pro, but certainly a Pro Bowler. And that's just his receiving stats.
I was just thinking while you were talking, trying to look really quickly. The 49ers have not had a receiver catch that many passes in a season
Since Jerry Rice, yeah. It's 7th all time of anybody. So
insane.
Jerry Rice's former NFL record of, I think, 127 would be the only one that tops it. Or was it 142?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm just looking at the.
I know Marvin Harrison got to 143 when he set that record.
But I think that what's his name from the Saints, Michael Thomas. Didn't Michael Thomas break it?
He broke it, and then Cooper Kupp has the current record.
Oh, well, there you go. So yeah, it's a ridiculous season by Christian McCaffrey on all fronts, and we'll see how long it can go. And hopefully, like that's the other reason you want these guys to come back to lighten the load, so that he doesn't have to keep doing it. But we'll see. Benali says that Chase Lucas did an interview with Matt Lively and said Brock would get everything he deserves in the next few weeks, whatever that means. I have no idea what that means. That's a weird comment. I need to go back and watch the interview, I guess, because that is a very strange thing to like. Is that good? Does that mean that he's coming back in the next few weeks, or?
I would think that's what it. Because why would he come out and be like, "F that guy, he's about to get what he deserves," you know?
While he's injured,
or maybe he knows he has like a installment of his signing bonus coming. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Who knows? Anyway, I'll have to look into that. But what's your official prediction for the Houston Texans game?
Lots of field goals.
Yeah, it might be that kind of a game. Their defense is so good. Like, watch, this will be the game where Pinheiro goes in the tank. But they may need like 4 or 5 field goals from Eddie Pinheiro.
Yeah, I could easily see this be like a 16-13 game. So I guess I'll go with that. I'll go Niners because I've been picking against them and they keep proving me wrong. So I'm not going to pick against them against a team that has 2 wins. But 16-13, like it's 1 touchdown apiece and a bunch of field goals.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of agree. Can I sign on for that exact same outcome? Will you allow that?
Yeah, you can be cool like me.
All right. The one time I'm going to follow.
I got enough swag to go around, let me tell you.
Oh, God. I already regret my decision. Instant regret already. Are you going to be joining for the instant reacts?
Of course, yeah.
Thousands of you joined last week. It's so awesome when everybody hops in, especially when we're talking about a win as opposed to a loss. That makes it even better. But thank you, everybody, for the
especially
support.
When there's typos and they do a second super chat to fix the first typo.
That was especially good. That's why this community is the best, and we appreciate everything. Thank you, everybody. Please like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If this is your first time checking us out, 46% of our viewers this year are checking us out for the first time. We are live every single weekday. We're live after every game. Please give us another chance. I promise you, we will earn your time. That's what we always say. I put our 49ers coverage up against anybody else's on the planet. Trust us. You'll come back and you'll like what you see. Levin, thank you again. And I look forward to the instant reacts on Sunday.
You look forward to